Now, would I recommend this book? Yeah, definitely. For anyone who loves a thriller, I mean, it wasn't my favourite thriller that I've read so far, but I really did enjoy a lot of elements. Hi, my name is Terry Westwell and welcome back to Panic at the Book Club. This week we're discussing Poppet by Mo Hayder, which was recommended by Kira, who said it was creepy, unsettling, yet realistic. If you'd like to know more information on how you can become a part of this online book club, you can do so by watching the channel intro video. Now, don't forget, I accept your book feedback in a wide manner of ways. Leave a comment below a video, send me a voice note, or even send me a video clip of you discussing the book. Alternatively, you can just send me a direct message on Instagram. Now, don't forget, I list the next 4 books below and on TikTok, along with the discussion dates, so you can choose what genre best suits you, as well as the best time frame to read it in. On that note, let's talk about Poppet. The mentally ill patients in Beachway Secure Unit are terrified. When unexplained power cuts lead to a series of horrifying events, fear spreads from inmates to staff. Amidst growing hysteria, AJ, a senior psychiatric nurse, is desperate to protect his charges. Detective Inspector Jack Caffrey is looking for the corpse of a missing woman. When AJ seeks Caffrey's help in investigating the issues going on at Amberley, both men must face some bitter truths in their own lives. Just your friendly spoiler alert, if you haven't read this book yet, I would suggest going doing that first, because beyond this point there will definitely be spoilers. All the chapters were a pretty good length of between 5 and 15 minutes, so it was pretty good to read a chapter or 2 before bed or even on a commute to work. It was easy enough to read and simple to follow, especially once you actually managed to get into it. It is the 6th book in the series, however you are able to read it as a standalone book. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's why it took me a while to really start enjoying it properly. And perhaps it relied a little bit on some of the character building from some of the previous books, especially for Jack. Poppet is the 6th book in the Jack Caffrey series. Unfortunately, apart from knowing that he was a detective who appeared occasionally, I never really felt like I got to know him. Most of the storyline with him in it, looking for the corpse of this missing girl, didn't really seem to lead anywhere by the end of the book. Like, maybe it will be discussed in the next book, and maybe it was even discussed in the previous book, but just from the bits that I read, it just didn't really feel necessary to the book I was currently reading. Despite it being a Jack Caffrey series, the main character is definitely AJ. I mean, if you took most of Jack's chapters out, I feel like the book would still make narrative sense, if not more sense. But to be fair, I am discussing the book as though it is a standalone. But to be fair, he's not the only one that I felt seemed totally unnecessary. Like Penny and that dog. Like, it was such a sad chapter, but it also kind of felt like, I don't know. Like, I get that she was relevant, but it kind of felt like it was just written for the sake of having that sad scene and for later on having that creepy hand-holding scene. But it was sad and there was a lot of detail and it was very well written. Just, was it necessary? Not really. I don't like it when things are done for the sake of doing it and not really having a reason behind it. I did like AJ's character. I just feel like the author could have done a little bit more to make him seem more realistic and give him more of an identity. Like, the moment he seemed to see Melanie as a real potential love interest, it just kind of felt like all character develop just ceased for him. At first, I actually just thought that he was being super judgmental, if I'm honest. Especially the idea that Melanie had previously dated a colleague. But then it turns out it's because he believes that just because she dated a work colleague before, it must mean he's in for a shot. Like at times in the beginning, I thought that his attitude towards Melanie was sweet. Like the cider chapter, where they're drinking cider and they've got quite good back and forth, but at the same time, it was a little bit creepy and a little obsessive and stalkerish. Perhaps it was a sign of how the book was going to end, but I don't think she was much better either. Like, they were immediately, after sleeping together for the first time, both acting like they were in a 4-month relationship that was still in the honeymoon period. Like, they were just sickly obsessive with each other, and it was a bit weird. Like, Melanie was actually a pretty interesting character, especially towards the end. Like, I liked how, looking back, you could pinpoint some of her hints and problematic behaviours without it being super obvious. Although, I did think it was weird that she was so insistent on not getting police and stuff involved. But I didn't realise until the end just how corrupt she was. Like, I actually think I would have preferred to have had less of the chapters at the beginning of the book and more of the chapters at the end after she had been discovered. Maybe a couple from her perspective. I kind of feel like I'm having a go at this book, and that's really not my aim. I did really enjoy this book, and overall, I thought the concept was really good. Like, some of the more messed up scenes genuinely were disturbing and made you feel uncomfortable. Like, it's really clear that the author not only enjoys, but is really good at painting a really disturbing picture for a reader. I do just think that the book lacked a little in some of the other areas, and perhaps that can just be chalked down to the fact that I've not read the other books and it isn't a standalone. That being said, I really did like how some of the other characters were written. Like, what was her name? Mother Monster, for sure, but Isaac, absolutely. Like, he was written as this villain and everyone was scared of him and what he'd previously done. But it was very much a case of people not liking something different and therefore not really taking the time to understand. There was just more to it, and instead of people asking or trying to find out why he had done the things that he had done, instead they just chalked it down to his mental health, which of course was wrong. Like, he might be unwell, but that didn't mean that there was no reason for the things that he did. Like, I think it was great for AJ to be the one to figure that out as well. AJ obviously tried to avoid finding out why the patients were there in the first place, because usually it was for such awful reasons. So when you found out why Isaac had been there, it kind of solidified a good reason as to why he should know and he should put the effort into really getting to know his patients and what happened to them. Like, I think it was some really nice symmetry, it being the love interest who turned out to be the bad guy. This seemingly innocent character turned out to be the not so good person. And I know that's not a new concept, but I think it was just done really well. I love the freedom that thrillers have sometimes in the fact that they can show how things aren't always what it seems in a not so obvious way. Like, I think they did a really good job of that in this book. Now, would I recommend this book? Yeah, definitely. For anyone who loves a thriller, I mean, it wasn't my favourite thriller that I've read so far, but I really did enjoy a lot of elements. Like the overall premise and the twists were really good. I just thought it was a bit slow to get into. But let me know what you thought. Did you enjoy the book?
So I've just finished Poppet. I didn't dislike it, but it went on far too long. Like, it made perfect sense as a standalone, but there were just bits that I was like, right, they probably were relevant to something that I don't understand. And I was really surprised that it was Melanie. I only started really getting into this at about 2/3 of the way through. And I was actually interested in what was going to happen. Until then, it was like a proper slog. Melanie and AJ have spent one night together, and now he like is absolutely in love with her. Like, chill out. And it's like, ooh, babe, like calling each other babe, and no, off, like annoying. Just that's not real, is it? Fat phobia at Zelda. There were many points where there were a lot of not very nice comments about Zelda's size and weight, and it was just unnecessary. Just the wording of it was like not appropriate. The two main male characters, I just found both of them so boring. Neither of them had any personality. He's the main guy, and the guy has like no notable qualities. I think Melanie was quite an interesting character, especially with the ending. What's the other one? Flea? Why is her name Flea? She didn't really have anything about her either. Again, maybe this is stuff that works better if you've read the others in the series. And then suddenly there's just a dying dog, and it was really like graphic and horrible, and it just came out of nowhere. Overall, it was okay. I'm glad I read it because it was something different for me. I don't usually read this kind of thing. I don't think I'd recommend it. It doesn't make me particularly want to read stuff in this genre, especially the crime side. The horror side I could get on board with because I liked the creepy bits. I liked the kind of like, ooh, like the, the descriptive, like weird stuff. Quite liked that. But yeah, the crime side, not my cup of tea, I don't think. I'm going to give it 3 stars, maybe like a 2.75 on Storygraph. Yeah.
Next week, there'll be no Panic at the Book Club. However, we'll be picking up the following week on Tuesday, the 26th of September with Over the Moon. Don't forget to get your comments and thoughts in by Monday, the 25th of September at the latest to be a part of the discussion. You can now do this on YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram. The following week will be Fourth Wing, and don't forget, if you do need a little bit longer to read a book, I do now list the next 4 books down below along with the discussion dates, so you can choose what book best suits you. Thank you all for joining, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all on the 26th of September. Bye.